Perfect. Don't get the camera splash, so this one's not waterproof. Right, so I'm now...
So last week we took Izzy sailing in her new dinghy, an RS Fever. This week we move on to something completely different. Thames barges, racing on the River Medway.
To be camera boat now. It's the first Sunday in June and it is the Thames barge race on the River Medway. They're going to start along Gillingham and then sail out into the Thames estuary and back. We sailed Wednesday night and there was probably, I don't know, 11 yachts racing, and we were saying how small the river felt when there's that many yachts racing, but how small the river must feel when you're racing something that big. Look at this, absolutely crazy. I would not want to helm one of these. They tack, but they don't have a food, from what I can see. I think it's an art learning how to helm these.
Move forward a bit more so I can get a shot of this boat.
At the moment, we think there's about 3 minutes to the start, but we don't even know where the start is, so.
So we don't know for sure, but it looks like the smaller barges, if they are indeed smaller, have just started. There's a line, I think, maybe this lot, I don't know. Maybe there's something to do with it, maybe they're not. Maybe it's a Gillingham line, I don't know. But these three suddenly seem to have torn off as if they've started. The rest of the fleet, generally bigger boats, all down there. So there's a man with a shotgun or something on there, just fired a shot, so I imagine that's something to do with the race, and I imagine that gunshot was something to do with their time, but who knows. It's a much more relaxed way of racing than we go. So Thames sailing barges began, if you like, as a design of whether 1700s, something like that, and they're kind of fairly unique to the east coast of England. They're called Thames barges, but they used to sail all over all over England, but predominantly all over the east coast. But in the mid 1800s they started racing them, and then all of a sudden, of course, as is the way, people want to win the races, and the designs changed slightly so that they became better race boats, and those boats kind of developed as they are now. I don't know much about Thames barges, to be honest, but they apparently range between like 40 tons and 300 tons, something like that, and I've no idea which one's a big one or a small one, but the smaller ones seem to have started first, the bigger ones are coming afterwards. But they're fantastic boats. They're particularly suited to the east coast because we have a lot of shallow water here, a lot of mud, and of course originally they're all working boats, and famously could be sailed by, like, you know, one man, a boy and a dog. But of course when you're bumping up the mud of the east coast, and if you've ever sailed the east coast of England, it's completely featureless. It's amazing how really the mariners of old used to navigate around here with nothing but you know, a leaded weight on a piece of string and a sextant or whatever. But of course, so you're bound to go aground occasionally. But of course, these barges can carry a good load, bump along the mud. Perfect, really. Easy to handle rig. The masts are all on tabernacles, so they can be lowered to shoot the bridges. Perfect. And little known fact, but America's Cup is on at the moment, which everyone knows is the oldest, longest standing race, if you like, in the world. Well, in terms of sailing, this barge race has been going on the Medway since 1880, and it's the second longest sailing race in the world, and it's still going today. So good on these guys for keeping it going, because it's quite a spectacle.
You've got little dinghies this side of you sailing in.
It is no coincidence they picked today to go sailing at this time, because high tide was like 10 minutes ago, so they're going to go out down the River Medway with the tide into the Thames, round a few buoys, and then come back up the Medway with the tide this evening. So chances are we're not going to be filming the finish, but our plan is to follow them down river to Stangate. We'll drop anchor, have some lunch, play around with the dinghy, and then we'll come back with the tide as well. Whether we're coming back with these guys, I don't know. I'm not sure what course they're doing, so we'll see how it goes. Of course, the thing that stands out most about a Thames barge are the lee boards on the side of it, and you'd think they're like a token gesture, but of course the beauty of them is they can lift them up when they go aground, but once they're down and they're dug in, they do sail beautifully upwind. That boat's not going completely upwind, it's a bit more of a reach, but it was noticeable in the pre-start. Once, if they haven't got the foils or that lee board dug into the water, they slid sideways, but as soon as they kind of got a grip, they straightened up beautifully. Now these three, you'd think, being, you know, I don't know what the ages and differences in these three boats are, but they're clearly all different. And you'd think they'd sort of separate, but they're having a good race. The bigger boats are all congregating at Gillingham now, so my guess is it's their start now or soon or coming up. These three split up a little bit now, downwind with a, do you call it a jib? I don't know if it's still a jib. Some sail working sail on the front, pulled out, goose winged like we would. Nothing very graceful about Miss Grace, really, is there? This one's a bit more graceful, going just as fast, kicking up a fraction of the wash. every angle. That is a very pretty barge. The leader may have got away, but the rest of them are having a cracking race.
What did that? Well, the one that really was at the back.
Goes to show you should never give up. This grey boat was last of this bunch. He's now sailing past them all to leeward, beautifully.
But front sail doesn't look, they do in
Plenty of sailing left in this race. So anyway, that's Thames barge racing on the Medway. It's been quite a spectacle. So thanks for watching. I'm Ian. This has been Sailing with the Foxwell family. So anyway, that's been Thames barge racing on the Medway. Thanks for watching. I'm Ian. This has been Sailing with... Anyway, you introduced him, you do it. You do it as well as he, okay?
So thanks for watching. That's been Thames barge racing, sailing on the
Daddy, you do it. You're the best.
You really got to say our name. Right.
Doesn't matter, does it? You get the idea. See you next week.
You need to put that in. I think I got it.